Hey, solos. I have another bonus episode for you. You all are so spoiled. There's been nothing but bonus episodes every week. Although, actually, I feel pretty spoiled because these bonus episodes, by and large, have been these solo stories where I get to talk with people about their solo journeys. And it's been so awesome. And I feel so privileged. But anyway, hi, everyone. It's Samantha. Olaf may not know who Samantha is, but now you do. And welcome to Solo Magic, the podcast about the magic of going to Disney World solo. This, as I said, is a bonus episode. It's another solo story in which somebody is coming on to share their experience going solo to the parks. And it has been, as I said, so wonderful to connect with people and hear their stories and have these conversations. And I hope that you enjoy them as much as I do. Today, I got to talk with Chris, also known as DisneyDadof7 on Instagram. And well, first, it's the first dad I got to talk to, which was so awesome. And we talked about how we don't like Hawaii as much as Walt Disney World, how the chaos of Walt Disney World can actually be quite relaxing, especially if you have children at home, and why trying a whole bunch of different restaurants is such a great way to find all of the hidden spots that you might want to hang out when you go to Disney World solo. So I hope you enjoy this episode. And next week, I'm going to be talking about Disney Springs, and I have another solo story bonus episode with Britt on Main Street, and we get to talk about all good things related to Disney Springs and fun drinks and bars and lounges, and I can't wait for you to hear those episodes as well. And the best way to know about those episodes, as well as all the upcoming episodes, is, of course, to make sure you subscribe and then also help other people know about it. So you can also rate. 5 stars would be great. And also just share around with your friends. You can listen to this now on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And why I like that you can listen on YouTube as a podcast is that you can also comment below. So if you are listening on YouTube, make sure you comment below about your favorite spots for Hollywood Studios. And next week, of course, you can let me know what your favorites for Disney Springs are as well. Now, the best way to get in touch with me, especially if you want to do your own solo story, is Instagram. I am Disney_solo_magic. I am also on Facebook, Disney Solo Magic. And yeah, well, there is actually something coming, but I'm not announcing that yet. So right now it is Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. It will never be TikTok. So yeah, that's not the case. But again, please connect, rate, subscribe, listen, share. It's so wonderful to build this community and to hear about other people's experiences. And like I said, it's been such a pleasure. And I hope that you've been enjoying the episodes as well. I've really been enjoying putting them together, and I can't wait for you to hear the upcoming ones through the summer. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's hear from Chris. Chris, thank you so much for agreeing to talk with me for the new Solo Magic podcast. Would you like to introduce yourself to all the listeners?
Yeah, my name is Chris, and I am a dad of 5 kids and 2 stepchildren, so that is a total of 7 children. I'm married, and I live about 20 to 25 minutes away from Magic Kingdom.
Okay, first you need to stop boasting about the Magic Kingdom distance. Okay, not only am I so excited to have you, the first man that's on this podcast, which is wonderful, but also a dad of 7 going to Disney solo and talking about it. That's pretty cool. Can you talk a little bit about your Disney journey?
Yeah, so the first time I ever went to Disney, I was a junior in high school. We went for Christmas break, and that was back when Hollywood Studios was MGM.
Love it.
And I remember, and this is before Animal Kingdom even existed. So all you had was Epcot, Magic Kingdom, and uh, MGM. So I loved Magic Kingdom the most because I grew up with my mom reading me all the Disney stories. And Winnie the Pooh has a special place in my heart because of that. My mom used to also tell me stories when I was little, and she would insert me into the Hundred Acre Woods, and then I would get to hang out with Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, and so I grew
That's
up
the
with that.
sweetest.
So um, I went as a junior in high school, and I loved it. And So I turned 45 this week on May 2nd. So
Happy
this was,
birthday. I was
thank
actually
you.
it's funny because I've been doing the math in my head and I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're like very close in age by a few years. So yeah.
So I graduated in 97. So I would have been there like in 95 or 96 for the very first time. And as a teenage boy, you would think, oh, they don't care about Disney. I loved it. The ride that stuck out the most to me was Splash Mountain. I love Splash Mountain. And me and my brother, who's a couple years younger than me, we rode Splash Mountain like 3 times, like back to back to back. And then like, Big Thunder Mountain, I remember that. Um, those were the two that really stuck out to me. And Space Mountain, because Space Mountain was the very first roller coaster I ever rode. Um, so I loved it. And then I didn't come back again till my first son was about a year old. I was a young parent and brought him when he was a year old. And people say, oh, you shouldn't take your kids young. I don't agree with that because it's not for them, it's for the parents. So, like, those are memories that you get to build.
Yeah.
And as a young parent, I didn't have a lot of money. So, we only got to go to Magic Kingdom for one day and we didn't even stay at a Disney resort, which is horrible not staying at Disney resort when you go on vacation there. So,
I mean,
I'm
it's
one
not
of
like
those,
the most horrible thing in the world, but I agree with you. It is horrible.
yeah, like, it's, I'm spoiled. Like I've always stayed there. Then used to have DVC, and so yeah, I if I'm going to Disney, I'm staying at Disney. I'm not staying at the Holiday Inn. So,
Agreed.
um, so we went the first time, spent one day there, but then after that, like a year or two later, we went on our first real trip, and we stayed at All Star Sports,
Uh-huh.
and we did like 5 days there, and it was awesome. I remember we were lining up to watch the fireworks, and I had bought him this Winnie the Pooh giant lollipop. And he opened it up, goes to take a lick, and it was cracked, and it just fell and hit the ground. And he was like 3 or 4 at the time. And one of the cast members saw it happen, and they ran back into the store, grabbed him the lollipop that fell, and brought him a plush out too. And right
Oh,
there, that was Disney magic. That was stuff that I was like, I don't care. This is awesome. They truly care about each individual person.
yeah.
So that sold me for life. And I've been going back basically, I was going like every year at least for the summer. At this point, I lived in Indiana. In 2020, I had taken one of my daughters down and I ended up meeting my wife when I was down there at Disney. And she lived in Florida and I ended up moving down there and I ended up being 20 to 25 minutes away from Magic Kingdom. We live close enough where we hear the fireworks every night at Magic Kingdom.
Wow. That's really
It's
special. I know I have so many like I'm from Canada. I'm in Canada. So many people are like, "You should move down there." Like I'm sure it's really easy to get there if you like live in Florida. And I was like, there's so many barriers for me
right.
if I want to like quote unquote work, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so I always think it's so interesting when people are live close because I wonder if that takes away the magic because you are so close. But then I hear people like you, and I heard this guy who was being interviewed for a newscast, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, I just went to Animal Kingdom for like a walk this morning, and now I'm about to like start work," you know?
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like I would have never ever thought I would do this. I will pop into a park just to get a Dole Whip. But like never in a million years would I ever thought I could do that. But it's so nice living close and having an annual pass that I can do stuff like that. And not even just the parks, like Disney Springs. I love Disney Springs.
Yeah.
And that's a way for people to be able to go do Disney without spending all the money to get into a park. It gives you like your Disney fix.
For sure. Like whenever I meet people on the airplane or that I know who are traveling to Orlando for a conference and they have they've given me the like, "Oh, Disney again?"
Mm,
type of like look. I'm just like, "Go to Disney Springs, like walk around.
mhm.
You can kind of get what the bubble is about. You can kind of get what the magic is about, in a light way." And then you'll start realizing how easy it is to get hooked to being in this space. Can you tell me a little bit about your solo story, about you going solo, especially having kids, being married? Like, is that awkward to be like, okay, bye everyone? Or is it a place like that you really like to, a lot of times when I've talked to other people, we've talked about like therapy stuff or time for yourself or consolidation. Like, can you tell me a little bit about your own solo story in relationship to those things?
My solo started when I moved there. When I first moved there, I was trying to find the perfect job, and it took me a while. And when I first moved there, I was like, I'm going to all the parks. I am like, I'm not even looking for a job. I'm just going to spend time in the parks. And for, I don't know, like solid 2 or 3 weeks, I was in the park every day by myself. It was me getting to see Disney from a different side because I've always taken kids before. I lived there for like 6 months, and people are like, "Oh, have has the Disney magic gone?" I was like, "Nope, I love it. I go as whenever I can. I don't care if I was at the park yesterday. That same park, I want to go again." And you're talking about therapy. It's therapeutic for me. Like you're having a bad day, as soon as you walk through the gates, all of your troubles get left behind, especially at Magic Inn, which is my favorite. I walk through, get on Main Street, I see the castle, I hear the music and the smells and everything, and I could have had a horrible day at work and I forgot about it. You forget about your bills, you forget about any argument you had with anybody or whatever happens to be the issue. And you see the characters. You see Cinderella, you see Snow White, the Seven Dwarves, and you hop on the rides and you forget about everything. So that's one thing that is, I guess, my own version of therapy, is to go into the parks because I don't have to worry about anything when I'm there.
Yeah, and I feel too that for me, it's not like problems go away as much as like puts problems in a different perspective, right? Like it's so easy to get like stuck in your own world. And
Mhm.
so to be able to go somewhere where like it's a whole other world, it's a whole new world if you will, but it's also a world in which it's not like you created it yourself. That it kind of puts things in perspective because like I will have gone like I went for a week last August and I am an annual pass member. So I was actually staying at the Fort Wilderness cabins. So I would
Mhm.
take the boat over and just go to Magic Kingdom for an hour and then take the bus back, or excuse me, the boat back. And I found that it just kind of gave me different perspectives so that things I was thinking about. I mean, I was on vacation. I wasn't like worried too much about work things, but it really just kind of helped put things in perspective that it was easier to make a decision or to feel less grumpy about particular things because I had this other world to be myself in, you know?
Yeah, no, I completely get it. Um, you go through there and it just it changes everything. Your problems aren't going away. They're still there when you walk back out, but they don't seem nearly as bad once you've had your time inside the park.
No, I agree. Although it's funny when you said like your bills disappear because I'm just like, yeah, my bills always disappear. My magic band, I'm like, swing, swing, swing. Who pays for it? I don't know. I'll figure it out after the trip.
So, look, with your magic band, have you ran into the problem like after your trip, you go and you want to go to the gas station, you're like, wait, it doesn't work.
Yes, actually, I went to order a coffee at work today and they were like, "How are you going to pay?" And the words magic band almost came out of my mouth. And no, there's literally nobody that would understand what I was talking about. I was like, debit card, debit card. So, what is something that you do solo that you would never do or couldn't do if you were with one of your kids or all of your kids or you were with your wife?
I like to do things that I haven't done before or haven't done in like forever, like Hall of Presidents. I had never done that before,
I've
and
never done it either.
there's no way my kids are going to want to sit there and sit through it. I went and did it, and I've done it a couple times. Carousel Progress. I love Carousel Progress. Everybody else thinks it's boring, and I'm like, It's great. I love the music. I just love going through it and seeing it. And it's at times it's kind of cheesy because it was dated, but it's also a great place to take a nap. Yeah, so like I'll go do shows that people don't want to do, or I get to go eat where I want to eat. And the best thing about going solo is your bill is so much smaller when it's just you. Oh,
I went to Disneyland with a former partner and we had the most delicious Mexican food for lunch. And beside us was a family of like 10. Like there was grandparents and children and we we were like we love our food and like this was slightly expensive, but how did they pay for lunch? So yeah, you must be like, I'm getting this food for free if it's just you and not all
yeah.
7 or 8 of you, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. I've been that family attend.
So your like key tip for solo travelers is to have a very large family so that every time you go by yourself, you feel
It
like you'll be getting a
seems,
discount.
yeah, yes, and also like you have a large family, a lot of kids, and there's a lot of chaos that goes with it. So you're like, oh, I'm just gonna escape away to Disney for a minute.
That's funny. Like, I think people that don't understand Disney, especially like adults going to Disney by themselves, would find it crazy that you would escape chaos of children by going to Magic Kingdom.
Oh yeah, like well, my wife, she's like, oh, I don't want to stand in lines and stuff like that, and I'm like, it doesn't bother me. Like the Disney chaos is kind of, I guess, refreshing to me compared to other things in life that we have to deal with.
Well, it's organized chaos, right? And you know that
Yeah.
actually like someone is taking care of it
Hmm.
and like it's all organized for you, you know? So what's one tip you would give a solo traveler?
Take your time. Like actually stop and smell the roses, as they say.
Yeah.
Because when we're with our families, you're trying to squeeze everything in to make everybody happy. Go slow. Like
Yeah.
stop and get the snack on the way to your ride. And if you're like me, before I lived in Florida, I knew I was coming back. I knew that wasn't my last trip. The only way it was going to be the last trip is if something awful had happened to me. Because every year I knew I was going back. And at first it was like, oh, I've got to make sure I do everything. I got to do everything. And then you don't really get to enjoy it because you're just rush, rush, rush. And just go slow. Stop and look at something that you've never seen before. And you might love it or you might be like, yeah, this is a one and done. The best thing is just to take your time and get to do what you want to do and not what everybody else wants to do. Like if you want to go to Casey's every single day, you can go to Casey's every single day. If you want Dole Whip for all 3 meals, you can go do that.
Yeah, I love that advice.
One thing too is be a kid.
Yeah.
Like eat like a kid. Eat the junk food. Eat an appetizer for or dinner. Just have fun. When you go by yourself, you have nobody else to blame for you having fun or not having fun.
I mean, I do think you can blame others for sure.
Oh
when
yes.
when somebody like stands in front of you or gets in your way, and you're about to like you have staked out a fireworks spot, like you can blame them 100%. But I think that's a really good point because like, a lot of people will talk about, oh, I'm worried I'm going to feel lonely and all that stuff. And I think you're right. Like it's a huge part of your mindset. Like you can't, if you are going to choose to focus on the fact that you're by yourself rather than like choose to celebrate the fact that you're by yourself, it's really really easy to like get caught up in that. But I also love the idea of like be like a kid because that hasn't come up too much surprisingly in the podcast about like really connecting to your inner child. And like all the cast members there like know why you're there,
Hmm.
and if anyone is if a guest is judging you, like you're never going to see them again. And also, who cares?
Right?
You're in the right when you're acting like a kid when you're there.
Buy the ears, buy the backpack, do whatever. And there was times where I'd be by myself and I'd start to think, oh, I wish my kids were here. But then I'd go get a Mickey bar and I'd forget about them.
And you don't have to get one Mickey bar. You don't have to get
One Mickey
7 or
bar.
8.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so I posted an episode this week about Hollywood Studios, and you said that that's the park you've gone to the most, but not necessarily solo because one of your children really like it. Can you provide some tips to solo travelers, adult travelers about going to Hollywood Studios? I don't feel like I'm as equipped as the other parks.
Yeah, I've done it quite a bit solo too. Before my kids moved down to Florida with me, I would go there all the time because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I would go over to Smuggler's Run, and over there you've got the single rider line. So you go hop on that. You might get stuck being an engineer, or if you're lucky, a gunner. But like that's one thing that's great when you're by yourself because you can hop on to a single rider line. Unfortunately, Disney doesn't have a whole lot of single rider lines. There's some, but it'd be nice if they had more. One thing I like to do is I go to Pizza Rizzo's at Hollywood Studios.
Do you
Uh,
by
yes,
choice?
yes, I I don't know why. The pizza's not great, but it's okay. And if you want to be economical, that is probably one of the cheapest places to eat.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's right there. Like you're by the Muppets. You're right outside Galaxy's Edge and everything. So like if I'm starving, I'll hop in there before I go into Galaxy's Edge. To be honest, Galaxy's Edge is probably my least favorite place to try to eat. You can go to the cantina there, and that's always fun. Um, but yeah, I don't really care for the food over there. Another good place to try if you're by yourself is Mama Melrose, which is over there too. And because Pizza Rizzo's is like right here, and Mama Melrose is just around the corner. And I don't know if you've ever eaten there or not,
I
but
have not.
if you like macaroni and cheese,
Sometimes, yes, though.
oh, they have the world's best macaroni and cheese. Um, so I've eaten there a lot. I've eaten at quite a few restaurants because I always used to get the deluxe dining um, meal plan. So that used to give you 3 sit-down meals a day. So I got to mark a lot of these places off my bucket list.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's funny because, like, I mean, it's so easy to go to places that have like a bad quote unquote reputation, but I mean, you're right, it's worth trying. And
Hmm.
actually, like, Pizza Rizzo has that nice like balcony, not
Yeah.
balcony, what's it called, like it's a patio and also a balcony. And I
Hmm.
like eating at ABC Commissary. They have some really good fish tacos, but the seating inside actually isn't too bad, but the seating outside is so like wah wah wah. And so yeah, okay, I'm gonna give that a try next
Yeah.
time.
If you go upstairs and sit outside, it's great. Like just the view is great.
I
It's like
mean, the
15 or
risk the risk of trying something new is also a lot lower when you're by yourself because if you don't like it, you don't like it, you might, move things around in your budget to like get something else or, whatever. You're just dealing with yourself. But if you are with a whole bunch of people and everyone doesn't like it or some people don't like it, then there's so many more appetites to juggle. So I think like a bigger tip from what I'm extrapolating from what you're saying is also just like try something new.
there's so many restaurants to try.
400.
That's a lot.
Do you have a
I think
favorite? A favorite restaurant? Not just in
uh,
Hollywood Studios, anywhere.
so my favorite is Yachtsman.
I've never been there.
It's great. So they have a porterhouse, this giant porterhouse. It's like the size of the plate. It's $100 steak, and I've done it twice for my birthday. And somehow, I'm not sure what the size is, but it's ginormous. And the first time I went, I ate the whole thing. I had like salad, and then they brought me like the birthday cupcake or something. And then afterwards, I was like, you know what? Let's go get dessert. And they're like, how do you have room? I'm like, it's my birthday. I don't know. But I, I really, really like that there. Um, that's probably my favorite.
See,
Um,
I'm not
I,
really like a steak type of gal, so I've always like thought, oh, I should go and try like the lounge there rather than,
mhm.
commit to a full restaurant. But I mean, you're so close to Epcot. that
Hmm.
I'm always like, "Ah, I can last a little bit longer." But some of the best pasta I've ever had was one of the restaurants on the boardwalk that was just kind of random. And again, yeah, I like the idea of trying something new. So I know that Magic Kingdom is your favorite park. What do you want other solos to like do or look for or eat when they are there?
Go get the autographs. Take the pictures with the characters. For my 40th birthday, that's what I did. Like I have pictures with me and Snow White. I was like so happy. I got to do stuff like that. Um, and I still every once in a while I'll go hop it. I'll see a character I haven't seen in a while, and I'll go get my picture taken. One of the last times I was there by myself, it was Max from Goof Troop,
Fun.
and he was out, and I was like, I have to get my picture taken with him because I went to Aulani in Hawaii, and I was waiting for him to come out, and I saw him, and I'm waiting for him to do pictures, and they were shooting a commercial, and I ended up not being able to get my picture taken with him. So I saw him. I'm like, I have to do that because I missed it out in Hawaii.
I feel super sorry for you that you missed it when you were in Hawaii.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That sounds real rough.
So I will actually say this. I like the Poly better than I did Alani. So like I'm glad I did Alani because it was a bucket list thing. I would probably go again, but I would much rather be at Poly. So the reason I say this is when you go to a Disney resort at Disney World, as soon as you get to that park, you are like smothered in Disney. Like you know you're at Disney. At Aulani, it's a very nice resort with just a little bit of Disney sprinkled on top. It was great because you could get Dole Whip every day, and they had like these macaroons and mimosas class that did that, and you're right there at the beach, so that was nice. But
And
to
it
be
has
honest,
beautiful sunsets there.
yes, um, but to be honest, I would pick Polly over Alani.
One thing people don't talk about with Aulani is like it has a beautiful sunset over the ocean. But if you
Mhm.
turn 180 degrees, it is a not so beautiful view of like a garbage dump. There are no promo pictures that highlight that view.
The whole area is hit or miss. So like you can go see like all the cool sights and everything, and then you'll find out, hey, there's a giant homeless problem here.
Yes.
The first day we were there, and we went exploring, and I'm like, oh, cool, you can camp on the beach here. Then I was like, oh, they're not camping.
They're not camping. Yep. Which is fine.
Hmm.
Like lucky them in quotes for being homeless in Hawaii, I guess. That's not a great thing to say, but like yeah. So I went to Hawaii for my 30th birthday and we stayed on the North Shore. And so one day I was like, let's go and drive to the Disney Resort. And we could not believe, like, all of a sudden it felt like we were in like Phoenix, Arizona, because it's all
Hmm.
built up with timeshares and
Yep.
hotels, and there is like the smelting plant, and there's a lot of problems with homelessness but also with meth. So we were very surprised. It was the first time we saw like advertisements for like meth. Not advertisements for meth, but for rehab for meth.
Uh-huh.
And like it was really cool. We walked all around Aulani. It was gorgeous. The sun was setting, but I have no desire to go back. Like I don't feel like actually there's any necessity. I mean, I'd go back to Hawaii, but I wouldn't feel the necessity to go to the resort at all. So that's interesting you said that. You're actually the second person that said that.
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, I wanna do it." I'm like, "No, you can do it."
Do
I'm
it.
not
Yeah.
telling you not to do it. It's just I would rather be at a Disney World resort than Aulani.
Yeah, I mean a lot of people, criticize us Disney goers because there are so many other places in the world to go, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like actually this is a good example that if you want to go to Hawaii, go to Hawaii. Don't go there to go to Hawaii, right? Like there
Right.
are other things to do that will really capture Hawaii. The hotel's great, but it's not the end all be all of Hawaii for sure.
Right. Yeah. And, like, I did a luau there. I was like, "Oh, Spirit of Aloha was better."
We did a luau. We're just now like bashing Hawaii. Apparently, we did a luau on the North Shore, and we were very confused because we're like, why is there so many like very happy white people at this luau? And then we realized we were at like a Mormon missionary. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Happening here.
Yeah,
Like,
that's one of the luau's there.
yeah,
And
we were not prepared for that. That was a lot. That was a lot to kind of figure out what we were doing. Yeah.
yeah, so I've done the luau at Polynesian, which they haven't brought it back since COVID, but I did it like 3 or 4 times before. And then when I saw the luau there, I was like, oh, I like the luau better at Disney Orlando.
Okay,
Um,
well, I'm glad we've now just told people not to go to Aulani at all and just stay at Walt Disney World. Okay, so the question was any other things to like do, look for, or eat? Do you want to say anything else before we wrap up? We could bash
uh,
other states and countries, I'm sure, Chris, but let's keep celebrating one
no,
area.
festivals. Try doing a festival.
Yeah.
So my favorite is the Food and Wine. If you're a big foodie or you like to have your drinks, make a trip to go for Food and Wine. That's my favorite festival, and I will tell you this: if you do go, make sure you stop by Ireland and you get the Guinness milkshake. It is the best $13 to $14 you will spend ever.
I love that tip. I love that tip. Food and Wine is my least favorite. I'm actually
Oh,
really excited. It's not going to be around this summer. I've said a few times that like they're fall foods. They shouldn't be in the summer. And so maybe I'll feel a little less bitter about it in
yeah,
the when it's just in the fall, and I will look out. I don't drink, but I do love a milkshake. So,
yeah, and what you're saying is completely fair. Because if you go over to Canada, they have like a small portion of the fillet and they have this cheddar broccoli soup, which is so good, but it's be so much better if it wasn't like 93 degrees when you're eating it. So,
I know I was saying that like I feel like there should just be a fifth festival for June, July, and August that's like just ceviche and like milkshakes and slushies.
yes.
Yeah. Chris, this has been such a great conversation. How can people like follow your Disney journeys? What is your Instagram handle? How can people get in touch with you?
Disney Dad of Seven on Instagram.
All right, and we will make sure to put the link to Chris's Instagram, DisneyDadof7, down in the description of this episode so you can click on it. And also, there'll be links around for the episode on Instagram so you can find him that way. This was really great. Is there any final things you want to be able to share with people?
If anybody has any questions or they want me to bash on Hawaii more, just send me a message.
Yeah, especially now that we know that you have done the deluxe dining plan. So you've been to a lot of the sit down restaurants. Like, we'll make sure to pass questions your way. Well, thank you so much. And thanks for being the first man on this show. And thanks for being the first dad also on the show. It was really great to hear your perspective. So thank you again. And until we bump into each other at the parks.
All right.
All right.
Have a good
Bye.
night. Bye.
Hey, Solos. I hope you like this episode and all the episodes of Solo Magic, the podcast about the magic of going to Disney World solo. Please remember, if you can, to support the podcast by reviewing, by rating, by subscribing, by sharing with others, and so we can continue to build this community of solo travelers who love going to Disney World and find it the most magical ever. Also connect with me on Instagram, Disney_solo_magic, as well as on Facebook. Can't wait to talk with you next week. Bye.